Hello, I have returned to rehaul or unhaul some books. My dad came to visit from the Netherlands the other day. It's been a month now. I had left a bunch of my books at his house, and what he's done before, he rang me very clumsily, showed them all of them on WhatsApp. I was like, can you see this? And I was like, no. He decided to bring a bunch of those books here to me so I could have them again. Although that was very, very nice of him, some of these books I simply do not want to keep. Some of these were gifted to me, some of these are by authors I no longer support. So for those, I can just say yeet. And I've got 2 more of those, so let's yeet them before we even get started, because this person, we all know who I'm talking about. We do not want this person anywhere on BookTube. Yeet and yeet. Anyway, those books are getting unhauled. They might not even be donated because frankly I don't think this person's work should be in the world anymore, but we'll figure out what I'm going to do with them later. Everything else that I will not be keeping will be donated or sold depending on the state of them and how much people would want them. Now I'm going to go through them. I'm going to explain a little bit about when I got them and why I'm keeping them or why I'm not keeping them, and yeah, let's go. I don't have any more intro to do, so yeah. Let's start with Strange the Dreamer by Laini Taylor. So I've got this version, which some people really, really love. I don't. I am still debating whether I'm going to keep this. I know I read it about 2 years ago. I had really good experiences reading this as well, just like sitting in a park and reading it almost in one sitting, but I think I'm going to unhaul this copy and donate it as my housemate Lizzie has a copy, and frankly we don't need to. Especially not one that is this ugly. So then we have Fuck It, The Ultimate Spiritual Way by John C. Parkin. I bought this in Bath when I was there on a school trip. I just thought, oh, let's be edgy and let's buy this. Frankly, I have never really decided to read it. I've kind of forgotten about it. I will be donating this if they will take it, of the title. Then we've got Gulliver's Travels, which is the mass market paperback by Jonathan Swift. I bought this, I think, in HMV like really long ago. I have no plans to read this. This book will also be unhauled. I will be removing the sticker and then I will be donating it. Then we've got Leon the Offbeat by Becky Albertalli. I really, really loved Love, Simon. And this one then just felt a little bit forced. I think a lot of people in the queer LGBT community feel the same way. Love, Simon was brilliant and this just kind of felt like it had to be done. It was a big ask from the fandom, but when it happened a lot of people still weren't happy. I was one of those people. I don't think this book was necessary to write. I think Becky Albertalli is a brilliant, brilliant writer, but this book just kind of didn't do it for me, so this will also be unhauled. The Great Gatsby by F. Scott Fitzgerald. So this is quite a nice copy actually. I despise this book, so I'm not going to rant because frankly we don't have time for that shit, but I don't like this book. I love the idea of it, I love the plot, but there are too many things that in today's society are just problematic that I can't see through it. I've read it, I enjoyed it for the writing style and I enjoyed it for what it is. However, with all its racism and misogyny, I don't think I will be keeping it. It's going to go in the maybe pile, and if I still don't know what I'm going to do with it in like 2 months time, I'm going to unhaul it. Then we have The Watcher in the Shadows by Carlos Ruiz Zafron, which I've heard really good things about. It's a used copy, so I got this from a friend who had read it and she was like, you should read this, I know you love reading, I think you'll really like it, but I simply don't care. I think I'm gonna unhaul this. I'm never gonna read this. Someone else might enjoy this, not me. The Little Prince by Antoine de Saint-Exupéry. I don't know if I'm saying that name correctly, I might be butchering it, and if I do apologise. I got this book when I visited the Tate Britain, so not the Tate Modern, but the Tate Modern. I picked up this book because I'd heard so many things about it, and it was really cute. I read this in like half an hour because it's so small, and I would unhaul it, except it is my housemate's favourite book and she doesn't currently own a copy, so this will be gifted to her. This is basically her copy now. I don't care about it. This is yours now, Lizzie. Then I've got this kind of battered version of Aristotle and Dante Discover the Secrets of the Universe by Benjamin Alexandre. I got this in New York when I was in New York with my dad, and we went to a Barnes & Noble, which I've never been to before in my life, and great. And I picked up so many books that we had a serious worry that I had over loaded my suitcase, which meant that we would have had to pay extra. But I basically sat down in a corner of Barnes & Noble on the floor with like a bunch of books around me and read the first chapter of everything, and then had to limit it to a few books. Aristotle and Dante was one of the ones that I kept because one, I'd heard really good things, and two, the first chapter just kind of grabbed me. I love it. I haven't read it in years, because that has been years. I do really want to reread this, mainly because I loved it so much, and I know that there's like a second book coming out, but I'm keeping this. Then I've got The Amateurs by John Niven, which I bought a bunch of John Niven books when I was younger because I had read his The Second Coming for school. I was at like a Protestant school, and my English teacher walked up to me and was like, "Are you religious?" And then I was like, "Not really." "Are your parents religious?" I was like, "No." And then he gave me The Second Coming by John Niven, which I thought was brilliant, and it was one of his favourite books, and I had to read it for my oral exam. That is the book we ended up talking about most of the like 15 minutes. I really enjoyed that, and I really liked his style of writing, but then I never ended up going back to them, so I bought a bunch of his books, I think only one of which my dad's brought back to me, so maybe I'll give it a go. I think I'll keep this in the sure I'll keep it, but if I haven't read it in like 3 months time, I'll toss it anyway pile. This is another book that I had to read for uni, and I do not plan on keeping because I freaking hated it. So this is Arthur Miller's Death of a Salesman. I saw a bit of the play, which I thought was pretty fun and pretty interesting, but reading it like this in this format just didn't do it for me. I sometimes really struggle. Sometimes I love plays when they're written out like this, and sometimes I absolutely hate them. And this was a situation where I just hated it. So yeah, this is getting unhauled. We're going to A Very Large Expanse of Sea by Tahira Mafi. I'm keeping this because I really enjoyed it. I don't remember when I read it, but I thought, as someone who wasn't alive when 9/11 happened, or was alive when 9/11 happened but can't remember it, I was like 5, and who has since visited like the World Trade Center and seen the impact, seeing it from someone who was getting blamed for all of this when really she had nothing to do with it, and the absolute bigotry. I find that really fascinating to read about, and it is such a both heartbreaking and heartwarming read. I would recommend this to anyone. I have not read Tahira Mafi's other works. I have her newer one, which is somewhere on my shelf, but I haven't read the Defy Me series, and I don't think I ever plan to. I like her contemporaries though, and I will be keeping this to kind of build my collection with her books again. Maybe reread it at some point, because this is definitely a book that I wish I remembered more of. A very battered copy. I do feel a bit bad about this because it looks disgusting because it's a white book. It is The Witch Doesn't Burn in this one by Amanda Lovelace. I haven't read this one. It's a poetry book. It will be short and sweet, and I am quite excited to read it. So I'm going to keep it because I don't read enough poetry as it is, and I think I only have 2 unread poetry books at the moment, one of which is Homebody by Ruby Carr, and this one. Then now we are coming to the last 6 books. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go rapid fire a little bit. One of them is The Circle by Dave Eggers. One, I've heard nothing but bad things about this book. I received this book from friends of my parents when I was in hospital for a few days, recovering from surgery, and it was so nice of them to give it to me, but I don't think I'll ever read it. Then I've got Crazy Rich Asians, which is the film tie-in edition by Kevin Kwan. I tried to read this, and I think I got to halfway through maybe. I don't think I made it that far. I don't think the book is for me. I'm going to donate it for someone who will really enjoy it, because I do think the writing is great. It's just not my type of writing. Then I have got We Are Okay by Nina LaCour. I read this I think in like a day because one, the writing's massive, and it's also there's not a lot in it, and I thought this was such an interesting way of describing like mental health, kind of the loss of a friend and the grief that you go through, if I'm running this book correctly. And the cover is also very pretty, so I will be keeping this, as I think it has such a good way. Nina LaCour has such a way with words that I think I would really want to reread this at some point, because I think this could become a comfort read for me. Then we've got A Curse So Dark and Lonely by Bridget Kemmerer. I will be keeping this because I've got all the other books in the series as well. I've read the first 2, I haven't finished the trilogy and read the 3rd one, but I will be finishing it soon, and then once I finished it I will decide whether I want to keep the series or whether I want to unhaul all of them at the same time. At the moment I think I'm leaning towards an unhaul for all of them because I liked the first one a lot, the second one was okay, and then I haven't really heard great things about the 3rd one, but I do really like Bridget Kemmerer's style of writing, so we might be keeping this. Then we've got They Both Die in the End by Adam Silvera. I cried so hard at the end of this book because of what it says on the title. It does what it says on the tin. Just thinking about this book is making me tear up. I love this book so much. And this is a book that I'm not unhauling. This is a book that I'm selling. And the reason I'm selling it is because I read the first one and then had no interest in reading the second and the third, even though I'd already bought them. Now, I've been a dumbass and sold the 2 other ones, which were hardbacks and original covers, before this, because frankly I didn't think my dad was going to bring this one to me. I thought this had been lost to the void forever, but he did find it and he did bring it back to me, and that is Shadow and Bone by Leigh Bardugo. I enjoyed the book. I think I gave it about 3 stars. I didn't really care about it too much, so I will just be selling this on eBay because I know this cover is quite wanted. If you want it, I can put the link to it down below. That was my I was trying to do this really quickly and then I didn't realise how many books I actually had and how much time the fucking explanation was going to take. So yeah, thank you for sitting out with me. If you made it here, please leave like a comment or tell me which book you absolutely need me to keep if I'm unhauling it, and especially if I haven't read it. If I've read it and you're telling me to keep it, I'm not going to listen to you. But if I haven't read it, let me know and I will see if I can fit it in somewhere. So yes, that is my video. I hope you enjoyed it and I will see you in the next one. Bye, Felicia.